Welcome back to another episode of Speak English Podcast. I'm David, and as always, I'm here with Sarah.
Hi, everyone. We're excited to bring you another great episode filled with tips to help you improve your English.
One of the biggest challenges for English learners is improving pronunciation, especially when practicing alone. Have you ever felt stuck, not knowing how to refine your accent without a conversation partner?
If that sounds familiar, then today's episode is just for you. We're going to talk about a simple yet powerful technique that can significantly enhance your pronunciation: reading aloud.
Reading aloud is an effective way to train your mouth, improve your fluency, and build confidence in speaking English. And the best part? You can do it anytime, anywhere, without needing a speaking partner.
Exactly. In this episode, we'll explain how this technique works, demonstrate it in practice, and share a step-by-step guide to help you integrate it into your daily routine. Plus, we'll highlight common mistakes to avoid.
So, stick with us. If you're serious about improving your pronunciation, this episode will give you the tools you need.
Let's get started.
So, let's dive in. What exactly is reading aloud? And why is it such an effective technique for improving pronunciation?
Reading aloud means vocalizing words as you read them instead of just reading silently. It forces you to engage with the sounds, rhythm, and intonation of English, making it a great tool for refining your pronunciation.
That's right. When you read silently, your brain processes words visually. But when you read aloud, you activate both your visual and auditory senses. This helps reinforce correct pronunciation and improves muscle memory for speech.
Plus, it gives you the chance to hear how English sounds in your own voice. Many learners don't realize the mistakes they're making until they actually hear themselves.
Exactly. And research supports this. Studies show that reading aloud can strengthen speaking skills by improving articulation, fluency, and even comprehension.
Another benefit is that it builds confidence. Many English learners struggle with speaking in real conversations because they feel self-conscious. Practicing aloud in a low-pressure environment can make speaking feel more natural.
That's a great point. It's like training for a sport. Repetition and practice help you develop the necessary skills to perform well under pressure.
And the best part? You don't need a conversation partner. Unlike traditional speaking practice, reading aloud allows you to work on your pronunciation anytime, anywhere.
So now that we understand what reading aloud is and why it works, let's move on to a practical demonstration.
Yes, we're going to show you how to apply this technique effectively so you can start improving your pronunciation today.
Now, let's put this technique into action. We'll take a short passage and go through the process step by step. That way, you can see exactly how to practice reading aloud effectively. Sarah, do you have a passage for us?
Yes. I've chosen a simple paragraph that has a good mix of common words and some tricky pronunciation challenges. Here it is. The weather was unpredictable that morning. Dark clouds filled the sky, but within minutes, the sun peeked through, warming the cool air. The streets, still wet from the rain, reflected the golden light, creating a beautiful, peaceful scene.
That's a great choice. Now, the first step when practicing reading aloud is to read through the passage silently first. This helps you familiarize yourself with the words, sentence structure, and overall meaning.
Right. And as you read silently, try to identify any words you're unsure how to pronounce. This way, you won't be caught off guard when you read it aloud.
Next, read the passage aloud slowly, focusing on clarity over speed. Let's demonstrate that now. I'll go first. Reads passage slowly and clearly.
Great. Now, a key tip here is to pay attention to stress and intonation. In English, some words and syllables are naturally emphasized. Let's go over a few examples.
Good idea. Take the phrase, "Dark clouds filled the sky." Instead of reading it in a flat monotone, try emphasizing dark clouds and filled the sky to create a more natural rhythm. Listen, dark clouds filled the sky.
That makes a big difference. Another example is the streets, still wet from the rain, reflected the golden light. Instead of rushing through it, slow down slightly on still wet from the rain and emphasize golden light to create a more engaging flow.
Exactly. Once you've read the passage aloud a couple of times, the next step is to record yourself. This is a powerful way to hear your pronunciation and spot areas for improvement.
Absolutely. And don't worry if it feels awkward at first. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to improve little by little. If you notice that a word sounded unclear, repeat that sentence a few times until it feels smoother.
Right. So let's quickly recap. First, read silently to familiarize yourself with the text. Then, read aloud slowly, focusing on pronunciation, stress, and intonation. Finally, record yourself and listen back to identify areas for improvement.
That's it. Now that we've demonstrated how to practice reading aloud, let's dive into the many benefits of this technique and why it's such a powerful tool for language learners.
Now that we've demonstrated how to practice reading aloud, let's talk about why this technique is so powerful. There are several key benefits that make it one of the best ways to improve your English speaking skills.
Absolutely. One of the biggest advantages is pronunciation improvement. When you read aloud, you actively work on shaping the sounds of English, which helps you develop clearer and more natural speech.
Right. And since you're speaking without the pressure of a real conversation, you have the freedom to focus on difficult sounds, repeat tricky words, and refine your accent at your own pace.
Another major benefit is fluency. Many learners struggle with hesitating or stumbling over words when they speak. Reading aloud helps smooth out your speech by training your mouth and brain to work together more efficiently.
Exactly. When you practice reading fluidly, your ability to form sentences in real conversations improves as well. It's like training your brain to process English faster and more naturally.
And let's not forget about confidence. Speaking a foreign language can feel intimidating, especially in front of others. But when you practice reading aloud regularly, you become more comfortable hearing yourself speak English, which reduces anxiety in real-life conversations.
That's a great point. Confidence plays a huge role in effective communication. The more you practice aloud, the more natural and effortless speaking English will feel.
Plus, there's the added benefit of comprehension. When you read aloud, you engage with the text in a deeper way, which helps reinforce vocabulary, sentence structure, and overall understanding of English.
Absolutely. It's an all-in-one practice tool. You're improving pronunciation, fluency, confidence, and comprehension, all at the same time. And best of all, you don't need a partner or expensive classes.
So, now that we know how effective reading aloud can be, let's move on to the next step. A simple, structured way to start practicing this technique every day.
So now that we've covered the benefits, let's get into a step-by-step guide on how you can start practicing reading aloud effectively every day. Sarah, can you walk us through the process?
Of course, the first step is to choose a passage that matches your current level. It could be a short article, a book, or even a news report. Just make sure it's something interesting and not too difficult.
Right. You want something that challenges you but doesn't overwhelm you. Start small and work your way up to longer passages as you gain confidence.
Exactly. Step 2 is to read the passage silently first. This helps you get a feel for the words and the overall structure before you vocalize it.
And don't rush through this part. Take your time to understand the meaning behind the text. If there are any words you're unsure of, look them up or practice their pronunciation before moving on.
After you've familiarized yourself with the passage, it's time to start reading aloud. Begin slowly, focusing on pronunciation rather than speed. The goal is to articulate each word clearly, not to finish as quickly as possible.
That's a key point. The more clearly you pronounce each word, the more you'll improve. Don't worry if it feels slow at first. Slow is better than incorrect or rushed.
Exactly. Once you're comfortable with reading slowly, you can gradually increase your speed while maintaining clear pronunciation. This helps you build fluency.
Step 4 is to record yourself. This might sound a bit awkward, but trust us, it's a game changer. When you listen back, you'll notice areas where you can improve, like mispronounced words or awkward pauses.
And don't be discouraged if your first few recordings aren't perfect. The more you practice and listen to yourself, the better you'll get. It's all about improvement over time.
That's right. The final step is to repeat. Repetition is key to making progress. The more you practice, the more natural reading aloud will become. And soon, you'll notice a big improvement in your speaking skills.
So, to recap, start with a passage that's at your level. Read it silently, then aloud slowly and clearly. Record yourself and listen for improvements, and repeat the process regularly.
With consistent practice, you'll build stronger pronunciation and fluency. And most importantly, you'll feel more confident speaking English. Now that you know the steps to practice reading aloud, let's talk about some common mistakes learners make when using this technique and how you can avoid them.
That's a great topic, David. One of the biggest mistakes is rushing through the reading. Many learners try to speak quickly, but speed can hurt your pronunciation.
Exactly. Remember, the goal is clarity, not speed. If you rush, you're more likely to make mistakes in pronunciation. Slow down, focus on each word, and prioritize accuracy.
Another common mistake is not paying attention to intonation and rhythm. English isn't just about saying words correctly, it's also about how you say them.
Right. Intonation gives English its melody. When you're reading aloud, try to mimic the natural rise and fall of sentences. This will make your speech sound more fluent and natural.
And let's not forget about pronunciation. Many learners make the mistake of glossing over difficult sounds or not practicing tricky words enough.
A good tip here is to break down difficult words into smaller parts. Repeat them slowly and clearly before trying them in full speed. The more you practice, the easier they'll become.
And be mindful of connected speech. In English, words often blend together, especially in natural conversation. If you read each word in isolation, you might miss how words connect in real-life speech.
Great point. For example, what do you want to eat? Might sound like, what do you want to eat? When spoken quickly. Practice connecting words naturally to sound more fluent.
Another mistake is not listening to your recordings. Many learners skip this step, but it's crucial. If you don't listen to yourself, you won't notice areas where you need to improve.
Exactly. Recording yourself gives you an opportunity to hear your pronunciation, intonation, and overall fluency. It's one of the best ways to track your progress.
And the last mistake is practicing without variety. It's important to mix things up. Don't just read the same passage every day. Practice different types of texts, like articles, books, or even dialogues.
That's a great tip, Sarah. Variety keeps your practice interesting and helps you improve in all areas of language use.
So to avoid these mistakes, remember, don't rush. Focus on intonation and rhythm, break down difficult words, listen to your recordings, and mix up your practice materials.
With these strategies in mind, you'll avoid common pitfalls and make the most of your reading aloud practice. Now that we've covered the technique, benefits, and common mistakes, it's time to give you a challenge to put everything into practice. Are you ready, Sarah?
I'm ready, David. We want to give our listeners a fun yet challenging way to incorporate reading aloud into their routine. So here's the challenge. Every day this week, pick a new short passage and read it aloud for 5 minutes.
That's right. Whether it's a news article, a page from your favorite book, or even a dialogue from a TV show, make sure to record yourself and listen to your progress.
The key is consistency. Just 5 minutes a day will make a huge difference in your pronunciation and fluency over time. Don't forget to focus on clarity and rhythm as you read aloud.
And here's an added twist. Try to read the passage in different ways. First slowly, then faster while maintaining clarity. And even experiment with different emotions or tones to make it more engaging.
That's a great idea, David. Not only will this keep your practice interesting, but it will also help you become more comfortable with various speaking styles.
Exactly. So, this week, dedicate just 5 minutes each day to reading aloud and challenge yourself to improve with each practice. Make it a fun daily habit.
We know you can do it. And remember, consistency is the key to improvement.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Speak English Podcast. We hope you're feeling motivated to start practicing reading aloud and improving your pronunciation.
Remember, just 5 minutes a day can make a world of difference. Focus on clarity, rhythm, and intonation, and don't forget to record yourself to track your progress.
We've covered a lot today: how reading aloud works, its benefits, and how to avoid common mistakes. Now it's time for you to take action and start practicing.
Before we go, make sure to check out our other episodes for more tips and techniques to help you on your English learning journey.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Speak English Podcast.